I've got a morning rant. I got to get it out of my system because I was completely unprepared for this to happen. Zohran Mamdami is the mayor of New York City, the largest city in the United States of America, the greatest city in the world by some estimations, at least at one point in its history, has elected a socialist. Why is it elected a socialist? Is it because the American people have wisened up and understand that our government is fundamentally broken and that we need this kind of drastic change to make things better? No, that's not why. This is a sign of how far the American people have fallen. This is a sign of how stupid we've all just gotten. There's not another way, there's no other way for me to describe this. Socialism, the idea of collective ownership, has been such an abject failure historically for obvious reasons that it should be, you running as a socialist should be a joke. 20 years ago, Republicans would accuse Democrats of being socialists, and Democrats would roll their eyes at how silly the idea that Democrats were socialists actually was. And now we've elected a socialist to run America's biggest city, endorsed by what appears to be the leadership of the Democratic Party moving forward. Okay, do we understand? I thought this yesterday, and I don't think there's any disputing it anymore. Democrats are socialists now. Republicans are Democrats. And as a libertarian, I'm like, we are actually the only party that has any level of fiscal sanity left. Okay, you are out of gas. There are members of the Republican Party, like your Thomas Massie's and your Rand Pauls, who are still trying to wake the American people up. But by and large, we have lost our collective minds. We think that the government can just solve all of our problems. We hate success. We hate wealth. We want to tax people into oblivion. We want to literally claw back the means of production and create an actual socialist society, because too many Americans don't understand what it takes to create and operate and maintain an ongoing financial enterprise. They have no historical perspective of what went on in communist Russia. They have no idea what went on in Venezuela. They have no idea what's going on in Cuba. They have no idea. And they blame capitalism for these things, or they make excuses as to why these systems always collapse into the worst humanitarian disasters in history. And it's over. We have crossed the Rubicon. And I don't know if we can turn the ship around, because even on the Republican side of the ticket, we have a fundamental lack of understanding of what the role of government in our lives from an economic perspective is supposed to be. We now view, both Republicans and Democrats view the federal government as a nanny state. The federal government, not your local city council, not your county government, not your state government. The federal government is supposed to operate a massive retirement program for every single American, and that's just a matter of fact. The federal government is supposed to operate this massive healthcare organization to provide for everybody who falls through the cracks and everybody who's old. That's the federal government's job to do this. There is nobody talking about a tear down, a turning back of all this concentration of power in the central government. The fact that we're sending 20, 30, 40% of the product of our labor to the federal government, nobody's pushing back against that anymore. You show me the Republicans outside of like a Thomas Massey and a Rand Paul, you show me the Republicans who are actually pushing against that. We don't have a two-party system. We have socialist Democrats and big government Republicans, and those are your options. And if you look at the election of Zohran Mamdami and it makes you afraid, it should make you afraid, because we are on a path of destruction that you could see the pattern over and over, repeating itself in history over and over again, from the debasement of our currency to the centralization of power to the destruction of private exchange. We are on the same path of destruction you've seen play out in history over and over and over again.